Welcome to Fouts Boxing Theory, and you guys know how much I love watching training footage. Here in this episode of We Fight How We Train, we're going to be taking a look at the media footage and probably a little bit of other footage as well. um, yeah, we're going to be talking about some things because I think something's a little bit off, okay? Now, first off, we've got Arnold Barboza. He's going to be taking on Teofimo Lopez. A little skipping as his warm up, right? Start moving a little bit. The one thing that's really, worrisome for Arnold Barboza fighting Teofimo Lopez is nothing that Arnold Barboza does is explosive. Nothing that he does is, very snappy. He's not really a guy that's finishing fights. He does have speed, and he's kind of tall, but there's nothing that he does that's like really going to, stop you from wanting to engage with him other than the fact that maybe he can pick you off on the outside and get back to zero, reset, before you get a chance to hit him. So sometimes against low level guys, he's been really good at playing tag, right? Like if you think about, I don't want to say Floyd Mayweather exactly because Floyd Mayweather had some great ones where, Diego Corrales followed him around all fight and got knocked out, stopped, but Arnold Barboza here is not doing any of that. We saw he had a completely willing opponent in Jose Ramirez to get on the line and throw punches, but when we talk about that, we'll talk about that a little bit later when we talk about Jose Ramirez's stuff. But nothing here so far is very explosive. Nothing is very fast. He has no head movement. He has no defense. Nothing that he's doing there is, looks like it can prepare him for, 12 rounds with Teofimo Lopez. And I want to point out, we have a similar style, George Kambosos, when he fought Teofimo Lopez. And, I'll say similar style, boxer, decent circling, a little bit taller, except that every goddamn thing he does is explosive. He's just wow, ripping his hands. And, he was able to steal a win that, I didn't really agree with against Teofimo Lopez. Yeah, and then that guy got proceeded to get blown out of the water by Devin Haney. Again, getting a little bit full circle. Not like we have like the four kings, but like how cool is it that so many of these guys have fought each other? So we have so much data, and there's, it's actually like a pretty damn good card. Pretty good card. Still nothing very explosive in this routine. All just a little bit, and again, there's not a lot of explosiveness in his stuff. I watched a little bit of his. They have these things behind the scenes or whatever on the Ring channel. No Days Off, and his was the most explosive stuff that he works on is his feet doing the ladder drills. Which can make you pretty fast with your feet. I think just jumping rope is better, but but yeah, not very explosive, and it makes me very worried for him. I'm pretty sure that Teo gets a stoppage. I really don't think that and we'll talk a little bit about Jose Ramirez, but Jose Ramirez is not very, when he fought Barboza, he wasn't very strong. He doesn't, everyone's like, oh, boxing technique, don't get too muscular, don't this and that, but there's like a basic level of strength that you're supposed to have, and it kind of makes him always walk around like, I don't want to say like goofy, but his legs are a little bit, Bambi-like legs. But again, we're going to be taking a look at that because, I'm not going to say anything too much about it, but there's been a change in that camp for sure. Now, a little bit of circling, stepping jabs. Okay, controlling, circling, stepping around. Now, it's very important that, especially if you're not the guy that's going to be knocking your opponent out, that you're always moving, that you have to have what I call an active guard. You have to be constantly what I call weaving through the line. Okay. And it doesn't look like his active guard has all of the intelligent places to defend itself when he's circling and stepping around. It looks, very rushed. And again, this is one of those things that there you go, a little bit of rhythm there, but a little bit of weight bully stuff. We saw what happened when this guy fought someone who was bigger than him. He lost. I know he's undefeated, but I'm pretty sure that was it an Irish guy, a southpaw that beat him. Like it was one of the most blatant robberies in like boxing today. It was absolutely unreal. No, I didn't actually. I'm not sure if I rewatched it. It was a while ago. If it's on my Patreon or not, I'm not sure. But it was. I'm pretty sure I saw it live, and it was a blatant robbery. You know, as far as like armchair uh, fight scoring goes, it did not look like he was winning that fight. Now, even the way that Teofimo Lopez just gets in the ring is explosive. Everything about this guy is explosive, high energy, and we're gonna see some really cool stuff in his routine. I did catch a little bit of it, but everything this guy does is high energy. I think it's going to be too much for Arnold Barbosa. Again, explosive. I think it's going to be too much for Arnold Barbosa. I think Barbosa is. Why do you do a flip right there? But Arnold Barbosa doesn't train with the intensity that he's going to need to accidentally go 12 rounds with Teofimo Lopez. Now I don't think that Ramirez is a slouch, but Ramirez also, when he fought Arnold Barbosa, was not very strong. Couldn't really put up a great pace. He wasn't very fit. A lot of these cavemen, when they get in the ring, they're like, "Oh, it's all boxing. Got to do my 12 rounds. Got to my," But there's a basic level of strength that you have to be, to be strong in the ring, to fight another guy who weighs 147 pounds. You know, um, and actually, I'm not sure what Haney versus Ramirez is contracted at, but I'm gonna check real quick. But you have to be, so strong in addition to being ex good fighter, right? And I think that that's one thing that's, it's also one of those things like people just don't want to gain weight. They don't want to put weight on. They're scared that if they put any weight on, they won't be able to. They'll have to move up weight divisions and then getting strong. Again, look at him, explosive, crazy explosive, putting on a show. I do think he has a kind of a goofy like overhand right there. Now I do want to say here, right? In your shadow boxing, you not everything you do, uh, it all can't be punches. And we can see that when he's doing a lot of this stuff because of the pace that he's keeping and he's trying to throw punches on every beat, he doesn't actually move his head when he punches at all. Okay, now that's not completely true because I know when he throws his right hand, he can move his head for sure. I've seen it. Um, yeah, I'm still not sure what weight they're contracted at. God, I hate BoxRec. Why are you hiding that information? Um, anyway, very explosive stuff from Tio. Very high energy, and he's going to give us some cool stuff on the mitts and stuff as well. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's go ahead and skip forward, guys. Oh, nice. He's going to give us some jumping rope. Did I miss it already? Cool. Check out his jumping rope. Again, Very, very, very explosive. And again, most of the time, you think you should be doing this or you should be doing that. You should be jumping rope. It's one of the best things that you can be doing. He's got a pretty cool routine here. Very athletic. Some double jumps, very explosive, complete control over the rope the whole time. And also, I want you guys to pay attention to how big his rope is. Again, most people get ropes that are too small for themselves. Again, look at how big his rope is. It really allows him to utilize it and be, athletic. He's not tripping over it. Different little bit of a routine. No breaks, right? I don't think all of that is, necessary, but it's fun, and it is important to make sure that you find a way to enjoy the work that you're doing because, boxing gets, I don't want to say boring, but it's repetitive, you know. Again, there are very, very few things that you're actually doing in the ring, and you just got to be the best in the world against someone else who's only doing a very few things. but but yeah, jumping rope, super important. And also knowing how to jump rope. And if you want to learn how to jump rope, I have some jump rope patterns and techniques and some theories and stuff. You can check them out in the Fouts Boxing Academy. Um, if you guys want full fight film studies, also I've done the full fight film studies, the pre-fight breakdowns for all these fights. They're on Patreon, which is $10 to sign up. It also has a 7-day free trial if you want to check it out. But it's $10 to sign up. It's 7-day free trial, then $10. Or if you want to join the Discord is $20 a month. But I prefer you get a 6-month or a 1-year membership. If you get a 1-year membership, it's $13 a month, only $3 more than the Patreon. You get it all at once, and you get coaching. You get access to a community of people who are discussing and talking about boxing, who are also committed to learning the Fouts Boxing Academy style. Now, here's the most important part about the Fouts Boxing Academy for all of you kids out there and all of you that don't have a coach and don't want to rely on your coach and your coach sucks and he doesn't listen and he's a caveman and he's this. My system is going to make you completely independent. You're not going to need a coach. When you learn how to do the drills and you learn how to do the things that I'm going to teach you, you're going to remember how to do them forever, and they will make you a good fighter. It'll teach you the proper way to do everything. Okay? Working hard and adding athleticism to everything that I teach you is very important, but I'll teach you all the patterns. I'll teach you how to get good at them. And again, it's a community of people who are getting strong, getting in shape, and doing it through the Fouts Boxing system. So, um, yeah, if you join, I also do. If you are looking for a scholarship, send in either 12 rounds, 3-minute rounds of jumping rope. Send it to uh, my Instagram. You can leave the links below in the comments section and message me. You can send them to my email, but or you can send 20 minutes straight jumping rope, no breaks. Um, yeah, no water break, no nothing. It's just like going for a run, right? Okay. And we can talk about a scholarship to see, if you're going to work hard. Okay. More importantly than making money, right? I want to teach boxing, and I want people who want to learn and who want to get good. Not people who are going to sit in the back, never post anything. They're never going to send in any videos. I want people who are going to be part of the community, sending in video, trying to get good. People who are curious. Okay. I want to prove that I'm the fucking best coach ever. Okay. And I want people who want to learn how to fight and want to do that too. So anyway, yeah. Also on the Discord, all the same film studies that are on Patreon go up on the Discord as well. So it's just way, 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 way more content for just $3 more. All right, let's get going, guys. Let's get going. Again, I highly recommend you check out the Discord. A little bit of defense. This is like literally one of the absolute worst ways you could possibly block a right hand. You see how he's trying to do that thing right there, where he tries to He tried to teach somebody that where you like try to check it like this, and you see how the guy's right hand is going over the top, and he could just whack him if he wanted to. So don't do that. Don't do that, guys. It's good that he's showing him all the defense here. It's giving him looks at it very quickly, forcing him to move around. And again, a lot of times when people are fighting, they're doing this stuff, they're training. All they train is the offense part. They don't train the defense part. If you don't train the defense, you're not going to have defense. Decent little speed here. Very interesting that they have that little pattern where they're starting on the little uppercuts to get going before they do their little pattern, which is interesting. Are they trying to learn new techniques? Are they trying to make it like a fight? Are they trying to, what was the point of it, right? Maybe it's like, okay, when you get them on the ropes, you're just gonna go da 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 da, and then go to, body 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 head, or up the middle, and then go around the things. Okay, a couple of little. Let's go back a little bit while I'm not. But I don't think that was a good drill. I don't think it's like a bad drill. It's kind of probably pretty fun. I do have a similar one myself, but let's do it one more time. Catch, slip counter. I thought he had one right before that. Yeah, that was it. Boom, pull, counter, counter. Big fan. Barbosa. Oh, see, look at that. Fake defense right there, right? Notice how the coach is bigger than him. So I do like that he's practicing some pulls, some defense, some head movement off of some of these punches. The standard Mayweather pull counter right there. But doing his own thing first, right? Control, pull, boom, and then following it up. Nice. The blocks, not the biggest fan. He could do them better for sure. No head movement on any of those punches. Not sure why he's not moving his head. I hope he remembers to do it when Barbosa is punching at him, because even if Barbosa can't hurt him, all he has to do is whack him one time to disrupt him, and it'll make it way more difficult for him to land a meaningful strike. Catch and counter, boom, 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 pop, 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 pop. So great drill. He's pretty good at it. Obviously, there are ways to improve it, but that's like one of those things that like was really unique to Teofimo Lopez for a long time. So here they got their own little Mayweather system, and again, that stuff is cool. At the beginning, to teach people how fast you need to be moving and fighting, right? And in the beginning, it's really cool. But then you got to go take that shit to the bag. You got to take it to your shadow boxing. You got to move around like that. That got to be the speed at which you're training, right? It can't just be something, no, I save my best shit for when I'm on the mitts because I don't want to look stupid. It's like bullshit. It's, lazy training. Now, this drill actually is one of my favorite drills I've ever seen Teofimo Lopez do here. He's going to be throwing power shots and shifting. It's the first time that I was like, oh, shit, dude. This guy's going to be fucking world champion for sure. This guy's he might wind up being, an all-time great. This guy is incredible. But this drill here, being able to throw a power shot and shift and then power shot and then shift, again, we fight how we train, right? And him being able to chain these punches together, he had a little bit more here, back here as well. It's incredibly difficult. It's not easy to do. Again, I have many, many drills to teach how to do that stuff better, right? But we see him chaining real power strikes right there. I do want to say this is not exactly the fastest speed to be throwing power shots. He could be doing a much, much better job. But I was hoping that Canelo might make sewing those punches together, because Shakur Stevenson has a pretty decently fast 2-3, which, I normally give credit to Shakur Stevenson, but Shakur Stevenson is in whose camp? Who's his idol? Terrence Crawford. That's Terrence Crawford's 2-3 that he stole. Right? Training it like Crawford does. Anyway, I just don't see any way that this guy with a training routine like that could possibly lose to Arnold Barbosa, even on accident. I just don't see it. All right, and now brings us to the Hulk. All right, now this is nuts because this guy, Jose Carlos Ramirez, he looks way bigger, way stronger. I don't know if I'm like talking out of my ass here, but this guy normally looks really frail. He normally looks really soft. Even his walking is better, right? I don't know if he's like normally got bow-legged, but normally even him just walking around, he looks weak. And is some of that because he's like, the only time you ever see his ass is when he's like cutting weight or for the weigh-ins, and then for the fight is he drained because he's a weight bully? Okay. Now, when I say weight bully, I just mean he's not fighting guys that are his size. He's always fighting guys that are smaller than him. On my channel, I talk about it. I call it your black belt test. Are you a good fighter? Anybody should be able to beat someone who's smaller than them. No problem. That doesn't mean you're a great fighter. It's when you step up and you fight guys that are similar talent level to the guys that you were beating at your division, but they are taller than you, that are faster than you maybe. Usually, if you're the best fighter at your weight division, the guy, when you move up, they're not going to be faster than you. But they'll be bigger than you and they'll be longer than you. And, Devin Haney hasn't fought very many guys who qualify that, right? Except Ryan Garcia, right? Very, very interesting, who in most of his fights, also a weight bully. Okay, but getting back to Carlos Ramirez here, he just looks stronger. Now, I'm not saying that that's going to mean that he's going to win, because he's still a very predictable fighter, but looks really strong right there. Looking really, really strong. But being really predictable, I predicted that Conor Benn was going to get absolutely dominated by Eubank Jr. and it was going to be, I thought it was going to be a pretty good fight. I thought Eubank Jr. was going to run more than he did and play tag more. And, he wound up getting in there in the middle of the rounds and really putting it on Conor Benn. Conor Benn gave a good performance, but he had a lot of trouble getting on the line because he always gets on the line from the right side. He always gets on the right side when he gets into range, and he doesn't really have an active guard where he's crossing the line. Look at how big he is right now. Now, you might be saying, like, oh, why is this guy fucking talking about Conor Benn and shit? Like, why do we care about that? Well, for a few reasons. Jose Carlos Ramirez is the exact same way. He can't get on the line. He doesn't get on the line with the jab unless it's a stepping jab. And he does it from the right side of the line. He doesn't know how to cross to move to the left side of the line. He doesn't have an active guard. He doesn't weave through the line. Okay? He's going to be staying on the right side of the line. And as we watch his mitts here, this is all really, really important for a few reasons. Because, again, right side of the line, 1-1-2, stepping jabs. Again, jumping on the line there with the 2. Again, the same thing, but he still enters from the right side of the line and then crosses to the left with the rear hand eventually. Good overhand right there. Those shots right there, if he can time those on Devin Haney, as Devin Haney is pivoting on the front foot. We'll take a look at some of Devin Haney's stuff as well when it gets there, but those are some pretty vicious shots there. Those are impressive. But he looks very explosive here. He looks very, very explosive. And again, I want you to pay attention to, I just want to go back to those rear hands over there. Those look really good. As his opponent is crossing the line here, right? Intercepting him there when he crosses the line, not allowing him to circle out, again, cutting the ring off. Now, I do want to say, Jose Carlos Ramirez is practicing being the guy coming forward. He's only practicing offense. He doesn't practice any defense. Okay. Now, Arnold Barbosa picked this guy off with the jab when he came in and was able to reset him and keep him from getting his offense off all night. There are going to be a few things about that. Number one, Devin Haney's better than Arnold Barbosa. Probably. Number two, Devin Haney. Number two, Jose Carlos Ramirez looks way bigger and stronger. So if, Arnold Barbosa is disrupting him and he's not a power puncher, I'm not sure being bigger and stronger is going to make a difference when you're fighting a guy who's also as fast as Devin Haney, because Devin Haney he's not going to have power, but that you can't take combinations from him. Like if he could get those hands on you like quickly, but he just uses so much effort to get his punches off. That getting successive punches out is very difficult for him, but that's almost impossible to tell inside the ring when you're the guy getting punched in the face, because when he hits you, you can't see if he's ready to throw another punch because literally his glove is in your face, right? But I don't know if it's going to be Jose Carlos Ramirez. Again, look how strong he looks right now. I don't know if it'll be Jose Carlos Ramirez plowing through Devin Haney's jab on way to landing one of those right hands over the top, or if it'll be Jose Carlos Ramirez just blasting through easily, making it through the jab, right, and then being able to whack Jose Carlos Ramirez. Now, Devin Haney, we don't believe he has a chin, right? He's been hurt multiple times. He was hurt, 5 times at least against Ryan Garcia. Okay, now getting back to Conor Benn, right? Because this is where it relates to Devin Haney. Now, on my channel, people give me a lot of shit because I talk about the rules, because I talk about real boxing. I talk about, don't duck below the waist, don't grab, don't cheat, don't hold. Okay? Ryan Garcia would be undefeated right now if people weren't allowed to grab and hold him. Tank Davis wouldn't have made it out the 3 rounds with him if he couldn't hold. He would have had to fight at the beginning, not just run and grab and hold and duck, and when he gets smacked, duck below the waist, grab and hold. It's cheating. Devin Haney would have been knocked out in that first round if he wasn't allowed to grab and hold. If Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. were allowed to hold and grab and spoil that fight would have been horrible. Nobody would be talking, wow, what a great fight, we're glad we had that one. Instead, we've got Eddie Hearn calling him a hero, right? Obviously, he's not talking about a hero for the country or this or that. He was a hero for him, right? Made it a great performance, made it a great fight. Some people, right, are like, damn, we should watch that fight again simply because it was such a good fight. Nobody's even saying the obvious part about it. Nobody's expecting Conor Benn to be able to do any better in the second fight. They just think that they could resell it because it was that good of a fight, because they weren't allowed to grab and hold and spoil. Now, if Devin Haney's got a fast jab. He's always got a fast jab. He knows how to get that shit there. He's quick. And we're going to go back and talk a little bit about this stuff, when I'm done rambling about this. But he's also got a really good duck below the waist and grab and spoil, which is why he made it out of the fight with Ryan Garcia in the first place. If Devin Haney is allowed to grab and spoil, this fight's going to suck. This fight's going to be terrible because he's not going to try to knock him out. Look at those right hands that he's throwing right there. Are those anything close to what Jose Carlos Ramirez was throwing? No. Nothing. Not even close. But Devin Haney, in theory, is really strong. Right? I don't know how he's going to be. I think this is at 47, right? But if he's allowed to grab and hold, and Jose Carlos Ramirez is a gentleman, right? And again, being strong, right? This is where being strong and fit is really going to play a part. If it's the old Jose Carlos Ramirez, the one that looks like he's got Bambi legs, there's no way that he can out wrestle Devin Haney. More importantly, Devin Haney can do whatever he would want with him in the inside. He could make him use as much energy as he wants. He could squeeze him and hold him and grab him. He could put tons of pressure on him. He could shove him around the ring. He could probably knock him out if he's not strong. And he's not usually very strong. But if he's really strong, then that might not happen. But also, it shouldn't happen anyway because it's against the rules. You are never, and again, people say you're allowed to clinch. What's the clinch? You're not ever allowed to put your arm around your opponent's body. Ever. That's not part of the clinch. That's not what clinching is. Oh. But the only reason that anybody even thought that Conor Benn versus Eubank Jr. was a good fight, that was a fake backflip. That's so funny. But yeah, let's go ahead and go back and watch Devin Haney's stuff, and we'll talk a little bit about it. But again, if he's allowed to hold, the fight's going to suck, and it's going to be a huge part of the fight no matter what. Okay. And if Jose Carlos Ramirez is indeed strong, looks like he has fast enough hands that he might be able to catch Devin Haney and land some good shots. A couple of slips and a couple of rolls. Not a fan of the rolling. Not sure why they're using paddles. I mean, Devin Haney is like notoriously not a hard puncher. Again, that technique is terrible. I mean, if you're an amateur, you're like, yeah, you just got to get the shot there. And you don't know how power punching works. You don't understand. Again, I'm the only coach in history to ever understand power punching and exactly how it works. While everyone else is sitting at home talking about stretch release cycles or whatever, which are fake. They're not real. My guys are learning the real, true arts of striking and punching power. And these punches, they're not knocking anybody out. Devin Haney's going to have to hit a guy like 4 or 5 times, right, with the shots like these, which, if Jose Carlos Ramirez ever has to back up, maybe Devin Haney could do that, right? But, to be fair, he literally couldn't do it against Ryan Garcia while Ryan Garcia was literally turning his back to him, which, Ryan Garcia made a comment about, well, I've never been hit doing it, so it must be good defense. Let's also not forget about the fact that Duarte was not allowed to punch you on your ribs, right, in the legal zones behind the left arm on the ribs, and neither was Devin Haney, which those are legal zones. Okay, so if you're allowed to turn your back and hide yourself over there, you're also allowed to eat shots to the ribs on the left side of your body, which are legal targets. But that's the only reason, So with that said, it leads you to believe that there's almost zero shot that Devin Haney could possibly. God, that was just terrible. Just a bunch of bullshit. Just tap, tap, tap on the pads. Nothing good. Nothing. The speed is going to be very, very, very important because in order to play tag, he's going to have to touch the pad or touch Jose Carlos Ramirez and then run. But I don't know if Devin Haney can win this if he's not allowed to hold. Well, we'll see. We'll see. It should be an easy fight for Devin Haney. Now, if you talk a little bit about the promotion too, it's really funny because they're saying that this is, Devin Haney's like, this is his last opportunity. This is his last. There was a time where they were talking about Devin Haney and they were talking about championships and like, well, we're in the same place in our career because we're here, right? He was talking about Regis Prograis, right? And talking a bunch of bullshit. We're in the same place in our career, whatever. I think that was Prograis that said that maybe. But why is Devin Haney bragging about fighting a guy who's in a place in his career where this is his last fight? Right? This is his last opportunity. Does Devin Haney, number one, does he not know anything about promotion? Because if you lose this fight, bruh, that might be you. You might not be getting any more opportunities if you lose this fight because You said it yourself. This guy's not rated. This was an opportunity. This was a gimme fight, right? Now, Devin Haney should win just based on the fact that he'll be allowed to clinch, let's say 5 times per round, right? 5 times per round where he gets put out of position so far that he might have to eat a big shot. And instead of eating a big shot, he fouls. Right? He's going to foul instead, right? Instead of letting them take the shot, you just foul them. Now they got to inbound the ball and play the whole, passing thing again. Run the shot clock. So he's just going to foul. But if he gets five holes, that doesn't sound like that much, right? 1 in the first minute, 1 in the second minute, 3 in the third minute. Right? Like every 20 seconds, right? Every 30 seconds a hold. Right? And when you think about it like that, you're like only 5 holds in a whole round. But like every 30 seconds, so you just run for 15 seconds, throw a couple punches, run, then throw a couple punches and grab, and then what? You never have to lose. You're never out of position. So if you're thinking that that's going to be the pattern and he's going to be allowed because he's the prima donna, because everyone just treats Devin Haney like he's that young kid instead of a professional fighter, instead of a man, right? He's a man, right? He's not a boy, right? They're going to give him, oh, no, it's okay. He's young. It's okay. He's going to beat Jose Carlos Ramirez easy. If he's not allowed to hold and grab and he actually has to fight, this might be a really, really tough fight for Devin Haney, that he cries after winning, when he goes, wow, people said, the haters said I couldn't do it. Oh, the referee was against me. Says all this dumb shit. And then you're like, dude, you just went life and death with a guy that you said was on death's doorstep. Like, everybody knows you're a not good fighter, Anyway, getting to Rolando Romero here. Shadow boxing started off actually looking really, really explosive. Looks like he has a little bit of head movement. Yeah, very explosive. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about Ryan versus Rolly here, because obviously we're done talking about, I guess, Jose Carlos Ramirez versus Haney. I'm not sure, right? Still final prediction. I don't know. It's going to depend on the holding, I think. But there's some interesting stuff with Ryan. And I don't know. And maybe I'm tripping, but he just didn't look, number one, like he was doing very much explosive shit. Which could be a huge problem for him. Because Rolly Romero is like, he's all explosiveness. Practicing his, if he can time that shot over the top of Ryan Garcia's stepping jab, dude, he could win the fight for sure. Like, this guy is an animal. He's an animal. And, it's funny because Ryan said the same thing, like, this is Rolly's last shot. Number one, this is not Rolly's last shot. Rolly has, anytime a B-level guy becomes champion, Rolly has the opportunity to go knock that guy out. Rolly could be an extremely highly paid journeyman. He could very, very easily become, man, there was a guy in the 90s that was this guy. But, Arturo Gatti, he can always go out there and just blast the dude. He has fun doing it, right? He has no business being in the ring, right, and having this big, huge event that people actually care about going on, but he talked himself into an entire boxing career. This is not going to be his final thing, right? The reason that it might be Devin Haney's final thing is because who wants to work with Devin Haney? He has no loyalty to anybody in boxing. He's only ever been out to get as much for himself at every moment, at every juncture. No partnerships, right? None, right? He'll just bounce around and do whatever he wants, take the best deal. And like, if he's not the best fighter, you don't give him that. And if he loses this, he shows twice that he's not that guy. There's no reason. But anyway, it's fascinating to see these guys talk about oh, this guy, this is his last fight. It's like, why are you fighting them if that's what you think? Why? You know? A few things about Rolly here. His hands are always closed. I don't really like that his hands are always closed. Um, a lot of movement, a lot of rhythm in there. His shadow boxing didn't look like it had very much defense or non-punching activity, right? Everything that he's doing, he's punching. Okay, all right. Now, when we talk about Ryan, and again, I want to save a little bit of it because this part's like really important. It's really, really, really important. But Ryan Garcia is a weight bully. He's a guy that's been, making a living fighting guys who are smaller than him. Hans Duarte, right? That guy, I think, was actually bigger than him, and he knocked that guy out, which honestly, really impressive. Really, really impressive. That's a really important piece of data when you think about this. But Rolly Romero is a big, strong, thick guy. He's a freak. He's a freak. And he's so crazy explosive. If he knew what to do with his thing, if he would join the Fouts Boxing Academy, I could teach this guy to be world champion for sure. So I'm not sure, right, if Ryan is going to be able to ice this guy and knock him out right away. Also, I'm not sure if Ryan is going to, or rather, if Ryan's going to be allowed to turn his back when they're fighting, if Rolly is going to be able to grab and hold when he wants to, which is very, very interesting. Here's a little prima donna showing up a little bit late. But the most important thing about this is Ryan's a guy that's kind of made his career fighting littler guys, right? He's been a weight bully. Even Devin Haney, technically smaller than him, right? But he's moving up in weight, technically, to fight somebody who's not, or who's also maybe considered a weight bully, right? Only because he's actually just bigger and stronger and thicker, but he's not. But he's actually like this weight, like Duarte, I'll say. But he, apparently just had a year off, right? Which is not good for him. Having a year layoff probably won't affect him that much. We'll see how much how hard he trained. But does Ryan look smaller? I can't help but look like his core doesn't look as strong. He doesn't look as, as cut. And normally Ryan's in incredible shape, right? Now, I'm not saying that means that he, was taking something and now he's not taking something because he got caught. I'm not saying that. I'm not implying it either. I'm just, when I watched his training, it didn't look like in his heavy bag work that he was really going all out, that he was really training with any kind of real intensity. Didn't look like he was taking Rolly seriously. And Rolly didn't talk himself into these positions in boxing for no reason. He talked himself into these positions because this is where he wants to be. So he trains hard for it. Is Ryan just here because this is what his life has led him? This is what his life is dealt. His dad got him his dad invented the Cobra bag, created his own home version because he was too short to do mitts with him. And now he has a Cobra bag, and now he's a great striker. And it's like, oh, this is God's plan, blah, blah, blah. Is he just going to like lay down? Because if he turns his back to Rolly and Rolly's allowed to hit him, number one, Rolly will hit him in the back and break his ribs. I don't want to say in the back, right? But all those places that are legal for the left hook to the body are legal for the right hook to the body. And if Ryan hasn't been practicing with a lot of explosiveness, he hasn't been training with a lot of explosiveness, Rolly might run him over. Especially if he's not as big and not as strong and he's only gotten by being a weight bully. If he's only gotten by being stronger and fitter. And again, against Devin Haney, he looked huge, right? Let's go ahead and take a look real quick. Let's go. Is he going to jump up there? No. Okay, let's take a look here. Here he is here. Way more cut, way more strong on the way in, right? Maybe he's a little bit more, dehydrated here. We'll have to take a look on the actual weigh in, but he looks more cut. He looks bigger. Doesn't he look bigger, guys? Amped. There you go. Take a look at his back there. His triceps. Does his bicep look bigger? His whole arm looks bigger, right? Has he just not been taking it seriously? Is there something wrong? Again, does his core look as strong? Now, it's not definitive. Again, we still got to take a look at him at the weigh-ins, right? Maybe there'll be a significant difference when he cuts a little bit of weight, but what's he going to look like at fight night? Like this, right? I think Ryan looked pretty big on fight night against Devin Haney. All the bad blood stuff is really fun with Bill Haney too. It's pretty funny. You gonna work out or what, bro? Okay, here we go. So stepping jabs. Very, very fast hook, man. Even like boom, whap, whap, and off the jab, tap, tap. So he does like that jab hook combination, 1-1-2, jab. I'm not always the biggest fan, but he does it like the Alexis Arguello kind of thing where you jab into it. I think Salvador Sanchez did it as well. Again, it's like weight bully stuff. If you're way taller than your opponent, like it's kind of easy. You get the shorter guy working off your jab, and then you hook him. I mean, it works against tall guys too. It's not a fake move exactly, but chaining them together like that, kind of is. It's decent speed here, but the stepping around and stuff, again, I'm just not a huge fan of. It feels like he's doing a Cobra bag that he's following around. But he's not. His active guard doesn't have any crossing the line. He's not changing positions at all. It's a little bit like that, Jose Carlos Ramirez. If he has to enter the line from the right side of the line every time, it's going to be easy to pick him off, like what Barbosa did to him. And Devin Haney is capable of doing that better than Barbosa, right? No, because Ryan Garcia is so fast, right? It won't be that difficult for him to get to the line with his own stepping jab, even though he's still on the right side of the line. But we can see all of his attacks start from the right side of the line, and then he has to cross. That means that crazy fast slip counter that Rolly was practicing is going to be super effective against him. And again, Ryan Garcia, this is one of the absolutely not how somebody shifting on you and then bodying up with you, and then you take an angle like this, you're leaving like this. Teofimo Lopez doing his shifting drill is going to knock this kid out. Now Ryan Garcia still has. It's funny. Look at it. Ends right here. Pop, pop, and they take a break. How does he's immediately starting to yell, "Do more! Come on! What?" I don't know. Is he trying to get him worn out? It's funny that he's recording too, right? It's gonna be on YouTube, dude. And look they got better angles here. No, he has whatever angle he wants, by the way. He can get the feet. But anyway, the most important thing is Ryan Garcia looks small. I don't think that he looked very big. I don't think maybe he looks a little bigger here. But his core looks smaller. We'll see. We'll see. I just wanted to play this while I talk. Crazy, 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 explosive, running around penduluming with the weights in his hand. Again, crossing the line again, crazy explosive, even with the weights in here. Again, this guy is just nobody to take lightly. This guy is coming to get his hands on you, man. Crazy, violent, 2-1 there, and then getting off the line after. It's not the worst. He's getting into his own rhythm and stuff. Again, his active guard, not that great. His weaving through the line, not that great either. That shot, though, again, circling to the right here, and then finding an overhand. He might be able to find both of those, right? Overhand into the left hook. But if he can land that shot on Ryan over the top of the jab, or even just throwing it, because Ryan doesn't block punches, he could win the fight very easily. And again, he is just crazy, crazy fast. Oh, Rolando Romero Sr., his dad. Not doing anything special. Pretty quick with the mitts, though. They're not doing anything. There you go. So if he can do that against Ryan Garcia's jab as well. Now, I do got to say, I like his shoes. You guys see his shoes right there? As a short guy myself, I might have to get some. But take a look at his shoes right there. Got the big heels on right there. Yeah. But this is a very dangerous fight for Ryan. It's very, very dangerous. If he really didn't take it seriously and he allows Rolly to throw punches at him, Rolly very well could knock him out. Land some shots over the top. If he's allowed to hit him in the body when Ryan turns his body, which he should be able to. But also if he just throws the left hand to the body as well. He doesn't even have to get very close to Ryan. He could hurt Ryan to the body very easily with either hand. And basically anywhere in the body, especially if Ryan didn't train hard, especially if he didn't do his sit-ups, especially if his core is softer. Because if he doesn't put Ryan out, or if Ryan doesn't put Rolly out right away, he's gonna be on his line. He's gonna be blasting him. You know. Anyway, um, yeah, can't wait to see the card. Super excited. Again, I think I've got Tio. Um, I don't know if it's going to be a knockout. It probably should be. It'll probably wind up being like one of those ones where like we are not going to let the proud Arnold Barbosa take a beating and they stop it in the corner or whatever, and then he still gets to put his hands up. What? What? I was just coming on. What? What? You know. But I'm predicting an ass whooping in that fight. I don't give Arnold Barbosa a chance. But he might win like 2 or 3 rounds. He might win early rounds. I'm not giving him very many chances to win late rounds. After Tio gets a little bit of confidence, he just looked too good. Still not sure what to think. Again, the officiating in the Haney fight is going to be really important because, again, Conor Benn versus Eubank Jr. would have been a terrible fight if he was allowed to hold and grab. But it wound up being a hero of a fight, a great fight. And it just showed how bad, each of them are, that on their best nights, neither one of them could knock each other out. Neither one of them are good enough, and Eubank Jr. with a huge, a huge size advantage, still landing every punch that he wanted, still couldn't figure out, how to land enough in a row. And that could be the case in this fight too. You know, Devin Haney might be able to be elusive enough and fast enough with the ones and the 1-2s to keep Ramirez off of him. But Ramirez might be strong enough. He might be able to, he put on a really furious pace. But again, that one flaw being stuck on the right side of the line completely outdid Conor Benn. Conor Benn's a strong, snappy guy. Not really that snappy, but like explosive-ish. And, he couldn't use any of his energy efficiently against Eubank. And, Devin Haney probably could do everything that Eubank Jr. did except for the leaping hooks, the well-timed leaping hooks. But he could probably do everything else and not wind up in as much danger as Eubank Jr. as well. So, we'll see. I really don't think that Jose Ramirez worked on the footwork well enough. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what the officiating looks like. And again, just how bad that flaw winds up being. Because again, it already cost him a fight against Barbosa Jr., right? And then again, back to Ryan versus Rolly. I don't know if Ryan took this fight seriously enough. I don't know if he's strong enough. If he's not strong enough to knock Rolly out and Rolly's allowed to and whack him to the body, he might be able to knock him out and hurt him to the body, especially if he didn't actually train his core as much as he usually does. Because it really didn't look nearly as strong. It didn't look nearly as strong. And again, like I said, seeing what little training footage I did get to see of Ryan, I didn't really get to see a lot of his most explosive stuff. I didn't really get to see him training or trying that hard in training. And here we can see Rolly Romero literally like max effort. Really, really, really impressive stuff. So anyway, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe and all that stuff later.